is a presentation of SiriusXM Sports.
Is Justin Robinson. As the Blue Devils get set to take the floor. We told you no Tyrese Proctor, also no Christian Reeves. Both dealing with ankle injuries here tonight. As we get set for our opening tip, it's presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. And as the official...
Field goal trying to win it. The snap is good. The ball put down the right foot. Kick is away. It is good. The Giants have won. No doubt.
Giving you an in-depth look inside the National Football League from the player's perspective.
This entire conversation, what makes a great coach? Being able to make players play to their potential.
This is the Players' Point with Colin Thompson and Dolphins fullback Alec Ingold.
This is Tom Brady, and I'm back on SiriusXM for another season of Let's Go with Jim Gray and Larry Fitzgerald. Let's go, baby. I'm kicking off the next chapter of my career and talking with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment.
Charles Barkley. I wish I could say positive things about everybody all the time, but if you play bad, I can't get on TV and tell people you played good.
Catch Let's Go Mondays at 6 Eastern on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, and exclusively on the SiriusXM app.
The most chaotic fantasy football seasons ever. You need Fantasy Sports Radio's experts to guide you to a championship.
Thank you guys for making me a better fantasy player.
From start-sit advice to how to pivot from a key injury, set a winning lineup with the best insight from our experts.
Patrick Mahomes against the Patriots, I'm expecting big-time points.
It's all on Fantasy Sports Radio, Channel 87, and the SiriusXM app, where fantasy football championships are won.
On the merry and bring on the bright. Sing along with modern holiday hits on Holly, Channel 79. Or revisit Christmas Past with the nostalgic sound of holiday traditions on Channel 71. Listen now through Christmas Day and enjoy dozens of unique holiday channels anytime you want in the SiriusXM app.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs, and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148868.
Explore the musical world of an American rock and roll troubadour on his very own channel.
Tom Petty Radio.
All of Tom's music, influences, collaborations.
This is Tom Petty here on the Buried Treasure Show.
Heartbreakers hosted shows.
Check out my show, The Breakdown with Mike Campbell.
And more.
It's Tom Petty Radio. It's all right.
To hear Tom Petty Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Tell the city the home of the villains. We're blowing up online. Hip-Hop Nation connects you to the biggest hits in the game. That's the difference when you're my baby. That's how it is when you just turn up and vibe. Hip-Hop Nation, commercial-free hip-hop hits. Channel 44 and the SiriusXM app. To hear these channels, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
Grando Deportes, Bonjour, Vini Vini Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, of the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to me, and people who love the universe. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! 3 o'clock in the morning. I told you I've been nominated to be the neighborhood watch person, trying to bring the neighborhood together for Christmas. And some people don't appreciate it because it's 3 o'clock in the morning, but you don't have to worry about what time it is. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast platforms all over the universe. Give that some praise on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Spreaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, TuneIn Podcast, Hitbox Podcast, Amazon Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, GeoSavant Podcast out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Peapod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Odyssey, Podcast Republic. There's also one that used to scare me, but now it doesn't. It's allfees.ai. Give that some praise. The robot that's trying to take over. I keep hearing about all these robots. They're going to put robots to work, and they're going to try to put people out of work, if that makes sense to you. I was out looking around in them there hills at some of them there malls where they go to suck money out of your wallet. All's fair and love at war. And I asked a lady, excuse me, can you tell me what that item is? And she said, no. She said, you scared me. I said, I scared you. You scared me. People get afraid when you ask a question. I want to say, don't be afraid when you have the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced. Maybe this lady could use it. Just ask a question. She said, oh, you scared me. Oh, you scared me too. I want to tell you the Veterans Crisis Hotline, they don't scare you. They're there to help people. They're experienced helping veterans and their loved ones can help. You know anybody going through issues, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. I know we all need somebody to lean on. It's nice when somebody is leaning back. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. And give that some praise. Really do appreciate God for letting that be light. I want to tell you what I do with Big C Sports Podcast. Number 1, I produce the show. Number 2, I direct the topics. Number 3, I broadcast all the shows. Number 4, I do all the sound effects based on the platform. Provided by the agency, we could all use more laughter and our lives. I can use more laughter, especially for the holidays. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling, I even do the play-by-play. Man, Shohei Ohtani, they're charging $800 for a ticket. Runners on first and third. They count for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little Reds. They say the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. $800 for a ticket at Dodger Stadium to see a guy that never even played in the World Series. I mean, go get your money, but they're trying to feast the crowd in L.A., All's Fair, and Love and Ward. And then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And I'm in them there hills, California. And then number 10, I never missed a show. Since starting Big C Sports with the crew, back in the day at Salem Media, really do appreciate that. You got to give that some praise. Now you got people miss a day in practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. I'm talking about practice. And I never missed a day with Big C Sports, if that makes sense to you. I got so much to do. It's just hard to get all of it in. I got to get this part. You know, the country's going through some changes right now. What did Michael Jackson say? It's time to change. You got to rearrange. That wasn't Michael Jackson, Curry. That was Peter Brady. Okay, Peter Brady said it. That's time to change. But Obama said it too. It's time for change. We want the real Obama. Well, you can't have a real Obama right now. He's busy. He's busy being Santa Claus. Oh, my God. And President Obama plays Santa Claus at a mall. He had all the Secret Service around him, and some kid said, "You're not Santa Claus, you're President Obama." Life is funny. I want to tell you what President Obama should have done. I'm telling you, I'm working to give a lot of praise to the California Reparations Task Force because a mine is a terrible thing to waste. And they had 16 meetings and making history with the final report over 1,100 pages. And I love giving them praise. The last meeting was June 29th, 2023 at the Secretary of State building in Sacramento, California. And not many people talk about them since then. I want to give praise to all the task force members. I want to give praise to Camila Moore, the chair. She's brilliant. She specializes in reparative justice. I want to give her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Amos C. Brown. He's the vice chair. He's brilliant. Love giving him praise. I want to give praise to the #1 senator in the United States of America, California Senator Stephen Braxton. He's brilliant. I want to give him praise. He also sponsored Name, Image, and Likeness that helps college athletes get paid. And then he also sponsored the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put resources into finding black kids the same way they do when they go finding white kids with the Amber Alert. And then, why is he the #1 senator in the United States? He's also on the California Reparations Task Force. You got to give him some praise. Going to be meeting with him soon. Really do appreciate the Senator Stephen Braxton. Council member Monica Montgomery Steppin. She's brilliant. Love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And I want to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant, and as a Japanese American, his family got reparations. You got to give them some praise when they were in the internment camps. They didn't have to go have a 19,000 task force. I want to thank This Is CNN, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want to thank Double O, part of the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. You got to give that some praise. I also want to say, I want to give praise to Senator Marco Rubio and Senator Rick Scott of Florida. They reintroduced the bill to restore Holocaust survivors' rights. You got to give that some praise. They were not shucking and jiving. I want to thank and give praise to Georgetown University because they've already pledged over $1 billion to 272 families descendants of chattel slavery. I love giving that praise. I want to thank Double O. She sent me this article by the United Nations. It says that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for descendants of chattel slavery. You got to give that some praise. They're not shucking and jiving. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network. I'm telling you, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to say thank you to PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want $6 million. And I'm not shucking and jiving. So much happening in the world of sports. As we know, Congress is already considering reparations because of President Joe Biden. I got some more stuff to talk about with AB 3121. As people have to know this Assembly bill, along with HR 40, it's about reparations. It's about time. You got to give that some praise. It's about time. I know as we stand up for the kickoff, especially seeing what happened with the Miami Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans last night, and the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers last night, President Joe Biden having Congress consider reparations. You don't have to consider anything. And then President Zelensky, he came back to the United States of America. He said, you already gave me $100 billion before you even passed reparations. And then he said, you even gave me some aerial planes before we even passed reparations. And then he came back, and now he's asking for $61 billion before we even passed reparations. Well, how is it that a white man can come up to the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave? He's asking for a total of over $160 billion and some aerial planes. And we still have reparations. We got to go through task force? Maybe we should get on some airplanes and fly to the White House and ask them for $100 billion. If you're already losing the war, what happened to the $100 billion? It's time for reparations. And people know that. You got to give that some praise, what I'm saying. The man's asking for nearly $200 billion, and we still have Congress saying we're going to consider reparations. Do we have to paint our faces white to get the president to cut a check for $160 billion? Including what's going on in Israel, giving everybody but black Americans. We built this country. Our ancestors built it. Oh, we don't believe in our tax dollars going up. Giving money to everybody that's not black. And that's a shame. Based on the New Orleans Code, black has no standing in the court with the descendants of chattel slavery. But how do you, as a person in Congress, write a check and sign off on writing a check for nearly $200 billion to a country that told you they're going to lose anyway? And the people who put President Biden in office, we still having task force rallies. Why? Zelensky didn't have a task force rally. He got on that aerial plane and came over to the White House and said, I need some more money. No one told him to pull himself up by his bootstraps. I don't know if President Biden gave him more money. They say, well, let's go to Congress and see what Congress says. You know, we've been asking for reparations since 1865. Since 1865, been asking for reparations for descendants of chattel slavery. A white man come over here several times, made a couple of trips across the continent to ask for more money for a war they're losing. How does that make sense? That's like being in the boxing ring with Mike Tyson in his prime, and he's knocking all your teeth out, and you ask for a dental implant. You about to knock them out too. I mean, if it wasn't serious, it'd be like a comedic, a comedy show. The man, imagine it's Christmas, and he said, what did Mariah Carey saying? All I want for Christmas is you, baby. All I want for Christmas is you. Enough, Curry. We want the real Mariah Carey. You can't get the real Mariah Carey right now. You got to listen to Big C Carey, if that makes sense to you. No, I don't sing like she does. You do that from the start. At the same time, it's Christmas, and they asked President Zelensky, "What do you want? What do you want for Christmas, President Zelensky?" He said, "Well, I've already gone through that $100 billion that the United States gave me. You wonder, since they're in the giving, it's better to give than receive." And now he said, what did Arnold Schwarzenegger say in the movie Dumb and Dumber? He said, "I'm back." No, he said, "I'll be back." That wasn't Dumb and Dumber, Curry. That was a Terminator. But you know what he said, okay? He said, "I'll be back." And that's where President Zelensky said he just got $100 billion, and then he got some aerial planes, and now he's back. And Congress is still considering reparations, and he's asking for another $61 billion. What happened to the other $100 billion? Freedmen's Bank, Google it. Freedmen's Bank, chartered by the United States Congress in March 1865. To provide a safe place for former slaves to safely store their money. After several successful years in which freedmen deposited more than $57 million in the bank, it collapsed in 1874 as a result of mismanagement and fraud. And the bank's failure not only robbed many African Americans of their savings, but also had a severe psychological impact on them, causing many to give up hopes and dreams that went along with their savings and bring about a general distrust of financial institutions for years to come. And President Zelensky asked for $100 billion, and now he's asking for $61 billion. But black Americans are still told, well, we need to have we need to have more task force to see if you guys, who built this country for free, your ancestors did. They worked from cradle to grave. They worked from birth to death. We were selling them. We were lynching them. We were beating them. We were raping them. We were selling off the kids, selling off the sons and the daughters. We were lynching the fathers, raping the mothers, selling them off to any other person that had the money. Why you sound so angry, Big C? I'm not angry. I'm just telling you the facts. If I'm angry for telling you the facts, why are you not angry for realizing that those facts happen in this country? Because we've been conditioned to stand up for the kickoff. As we're standing up for the kickoff, another white man signed into the United States of America on an aerial plane asking for $61 billion. What happened to the other $100 billion? What happened to it? Freedmen's Bank. African-American soldiers helped the Union win the Civil War. And President Abraham Lincoln, he promised 40 acres and a mule. He promised it for black soldiers to help the Union defeat the Southern Confederates. And it worked. Black Americans helped the United States, or at the Union at that time, become the United States of America. You got to know that. And since that time, when President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation to give free black Americans 40 acres and a mule, President Andrew Johnson came along after Lincoln was assassinated, and he vetoed the bill. And he gave the land back to the insurrectionists and the Southern Confederates. The people that lost the war. Like Zelensky's doing. But they didn't give black Americans $100 billion. They made us go to these reparations task force meetings. So it looks like we're doing something for them. I'm telling you, no reparations, no vote. You gotta understand something. I'm not just a dumb jock that's gonna get on the program and talk to you about who won a game, because that's embarrassing to me. You can do more than just that. It's important to do more than just that, because we as a people, our ancestry built this country, and they got denied so many opportunities. I'm going to tell you something. You got to understand, when you think about reparations, the people in Palestine are going to be doing a lot of things on economic awareness talks, and we have AB 3121 in the United States. And they're saying we all got to pay attention. No matter, war is bad, no matter what you're dealing with. But it has to be known, we can't just be drunk in love and sports. I know a lot of people are, and that may be part of our problem. But they're saying, no ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no vote. You got to show them they're losing members and switch your registration status to independent or no party preference. And the United States, descendants of child of slavery, we've got to do the same thing. Because people keep saying, oh, we're going to wait. We just got to wait. You got to be a little bit more patient. Did they tell President Zelensky to be more patient? No. The man is so emboldened that it was so easy for a white man, a foreign leader, to come to the United States and get money. He's so brazen. Imagine what it's like when you're shopping for Christmas and going into all that credit card debt. And this man decided he's going to shop for Christmas in the United States of America. Because he's a white man, he doesn't expect them to tell him no. He said, I know they told the black Americans when they passed the Homestead Act in 1862 and 1863, they told black Americans no. They gave over Congress, the United States government gave white Americans over 276 million acres of land, and even white Europeans, like President Zelensky, they didn't tell them no. You know what they told black Americans that built this country for free? They said no. And even to this day, we're still fighting for reparations. And that white man came back to the United States. And he says, I know you tell black people no to the GI Bill. I know you tell black Americans no to the Homestead Act. I know you tell black Americans no to ending Jim Crow. It lasted 100 years. And this man, in less than 2 years, has come back to the United States asking for what did they say? He said, more money, more money, more money. The Damon Williams show. Damon Williams had that. More money, more money, more money. I know some people don't want to hear about that, but we got to pass reparations before you get any other country some money and give that some praise. You got to. You can't just sit around and let them take it. You take everything. We deserve it as descendants of child of slavery. I know most of our brethren, they're sitting there drinking the Kool-Aid of sports, and that's a shame. They think, while the white man comes asking for $160 billion. We have, when he has a microphone in front of his face, that's what he's asking for. He's not saying touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh man, Willie, he's going all the way. I heard one of my favorite erstwhile football players going, how about those Niners? How about those Niners? How about those Niners? How about those Niners? And then I switched the channel, and President Zelensky was saying, well, we're losing the war, and thank you for the $100 billion, but we need another $61 billion. How about those Niners? How about those Niners? A shame. Our ancestors might think, what in the world? What in the world? Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to thank the NBC News for doing a story on Big C Sports when it comes to reparations. What? Reparations? Yeah, reparations for a sports show. It was March 30, 2023. They called Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast show. He said cash payments are necessary and money talks. President Zelensky knows what I'm talking about. But some of our other black brethren put a microphone in their face. Man, how about those Niners? How about those Cowboys? How about those Eagles? How about those Lakers? You know, Shohei Ohtani signed for $700 million. What a joke. And the white man from Ukraine laughs at us. Why won't the black man ask for what's due there? You know, the money we're getting was set aside for descendants of child of slavery. And Congress is giving it to us. I'm going to talk about some NFL things coming up. And you got to give me some praise. Man, you're different. Behind the math, in California, state task force recommended cash payments for 5 types of discrimination for black Californians. You gotta know it. Legislators, this is 2023. Legislators are expected to consider a plan that would make it the first in the nation to provide reparations for systemic discrimination against black Americans. I know we're not getting it before President Zelensky gets his money. Just what those reparations would look like, people are still considering. After 2 years of study, culminating in more than 1,100 pages of findings that discuss eligibility and the compensation in the form of both policy changes and direct payouts. The group considers factors beyond slavery, including housing, discrimination, health harms, mass incarceration, and excessive policing. It recommended that only residents descended from slaves or from free African Americans who lived in the United States prior to 1900 be eligible for reparations. Give that some praise. And President Zelensky is saying, why is it taking them so long to do right by black Americans that built this country for free when he got $100 billion, now asking for 61 more billion. He's wondering why is it taking so long to do the right thing? You got to understand, put a price tag on differences in life expectancy, 1850 to present. The task force estimated health harms by comparing life expectancy of black Californians to that of white or non-Hispanic residents, aiming to assess the effects of decades of racial discrimination that led to inequalities around access to healthy food, health care, and safety from environmental hazards. We got to know it's so true. We got to understand that it's there. So they're talking about it, but we wonder how they're still dealing with the price tag on putting a price tag on felony drug arrest, like the crime bill that President Biden signed, he and Bill Clinton, 1971 to present. And then the category estimates the effect of mass incarceration. President Biden signed that bill. and excessive policing of black Californians. They signed that bill. It's been excessive policing since 1971, when the federal government launched its war on drugs, during which several systemic factors resulted in disproportionate harm to black Americans. This included sentencing disparities between powder cocaine and crack cocaine crimes, giving harsher punishment to crack offenders, the vast majority of whom were black. That's according to the United States Sentencing Commission. To make its recommendation, the task force combined two factors: lost wages based on the average length of a prison sentence and lost freedom. You got to understand the latter was based on the amount paid in reparations to people of Japanese descent who were placed in internment camps during World War II. There's so much to talk about, but we're so busy standing up for the kickoff. Give it some praise. I mean, I love what I'm doing with Big C Sports. A price tag on housing discrimination practices from 1933 to even 2023. Black Californians face hurdles in securing housing, including redlining, zoning laws, and other discrimination. The task force reviewed gaps in home ownership dating back to the admission of California as a state in 1850, but focused its recommendation for annual payments from 1933 to present, when the federal government implemented a law to prohibit lending practices that disadvantage home purchasers in black areas, referred to as redlining. What? Redlining? What is redlining, Curry? Google it. Putting a price tag on lost business opportunities, 1850 to present. Reparations for devaluation of businesses are based on the systemic factors that the task force says specifically harm black businesses in California. They included discriminatory policies, including lack of access to government contracting relative to white businesses, as well as secondary factors such as unequal income and demand that affected the communities where the businesses operated. The task force did this by comparing how black-owned businesses in California compared to black-owned businesses in other states. There's so much more that I could get into. I love talking about reparations. I gotta finish up with this one. Putting a price tag on eminent domain seizures, 1850 to present. The task force did not prepare an estimate for unjust property taking through the abuse of the government's eminent domain power. It did, however, detail major developments in the state that led to loss of housing, including construction of Interstate 10 and Interstate 105. The task force said this construction in particular affected black neighborhoods and noted that black property owners were likely to have been paid less than the market value for properties that were seized. The task force suggested two methods for determining reparations. The first based on how the value of seized property would have increased over time. The second based on the current value of property that was seized. And then the foreclosure crisis, where black homeowners were denied reparations, where many white owners were approved of modification. Now, we've been denied reparations and modifications. White Americans, not only did they get the Homestead Act, but many of them got approved for home loan modifications by the same banks that were redlining and dual-track foreclosures to steal properties from black homeowners. This stuff was so egregious, California even sued Wells Fargo Bank, among many. You can Google the lawsuit amount. So no one can say that reparations are not due to descendants of child slavery. We just have to realize if we want to do the right thing, give doing the right thing some praise. I'm so passionate about it. I want to just talk about some things that happen for Big C Sports Podcast, because I love what I do with sports. Sports and politics? Come on, Curry. You got to be kidding me. Sports and politics? Yeah, sports and politics go together like peanut butter and jelly. Why do I say that? Yeah, Curry, why do you say that? Because the Florida Attorney General, they launched an antitrust investigation after Florida State University football was not invited to be one of the top 4 teams to play for a national championship. And he says, I know it's injustice when I see it Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody said in a statement. Florida State University had an undefeated season, but its football season was not. Its team was not selected for the college football playoffs. Tallahassee, Florida. Florida's Attorney General. That's not sports. Florida's attorney. For those of you who say that sports and politics don't mix, tell that to the Florida Attorney General, launching an antitrust investigation into the decision to leave Florida State University out of the upcoming college football playoffs, marking an escalation of the still raging controversy over Florida State not being invited. Attorney General Ashley Moody sent on Tuesday a civil investigation demand. The letter was sent to the College Football Playoff Committee, the organization that administers the playoffs and ultimately determines that FSU, Florida State University, could not compete in it, despite an undefeated regular season. You think about that. The Atlantic Coast Conference, they got told no, even though they were undefeated. Well, they get to play Georgia. When you get to play Georgia, you could express yourself a little better about how much you had a chance at winning a national championship. Georgia hadn't lost a game in 2 years. They lost the SEC championship. They're a better team than Florida State, but they did not get invited in. Texas, the Big 12 champion, they got in. Washington, the Pac-12 champion, they got in. Alabama, the SEC champion, they got in. Michigan, the Big 10 champion, they got in. And they all have better teams than Florida State. And if not, then Florida State can prove that if they play Georgia, they're scheduled to play Georgia. So we can see if they beat Georgia, then we'll see if they should have earned the right to play for a national football championship. Everybody has their thoughts about who gets in, why. As a lifelong Gator, also the Florida Attorney General, and says, I know injustice when I see it. Well, you should be stopping for reparations. Here's a state attorney general more concerned about a football team not being invited to participate in the national championship playoffs than he is about reparations for the black Americans in his state. You heard me. The Florida Attorney General. He's more concerned about his football team not being invited to participate in the college football bowl playoff system than reparations for descendants of child slavery in Florida. Is that crazy? The Attorney General! More important than if Florida State can play in the Final Four, it would be, do you have reparations for descendants of child slavery in your state of Florida? That's my story. That makes more sense to me. It makes more sense to you. So for all the people that say sports and politics don't mix, tell that to the Florida Attorney General. I'm gonna give him some praise for at least trying to get his point across, but I thought he would have put his money into reparations more than just a football team. So these attorney generals, they can speak up around the country. They can all speak up, and they can do the right thing. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I wanna bring it to the attention of many people that say, "Oh, sports and politics don't mix." Well, do you believe in miracles? Yes, I do. The great Al Michaels. I worked with Al Michaels' crew when he was doing football in the Bay Area. He started as a broadcaster in the Bay Area, but he also worked in football covering the 49ers and the Raiders. And I've been in the truck when he was doing his thing. And then NBC, they removed Al Michaels from NFL playoff coverage. The reports came out today. And only Pat Summerall, the late Pat Summerall, has called as many Super Bowls as Al Michaels. Big C Sports also worked in the press box with Pat Summerall, the late Pat Summerall, and the late John Madden when they would come to the Bay Area in San Francisco 49er games. So I've been able to work with both of these gentlemen in the press box with Pat Summerall, but in the broadcast truck when Al Michaels was doing his thing in town. So NBC reportedly, they are parting ways with the legendary broadcaster Al Michaels ahead of the NFL playoffs. He's 79 years old, and he was unaware that his role was in jeopardy last month, and there's some media outlets that talked about it, but Michaels reportedly said he believed that he was still going to call a postseason contest on NBC, but did not know who else would be working. And there's a quote that he said, it's in his deal. He said when it was mentioned that NBC had uncertainty about him, where you're going to be hearing that from, and that is part of his deal. And here's a man that's been doing it for a long time. Al Michaels is heralded as one of the greatest play-by-play announcers in American sports history. After working for ABC from 1976 to 2006, he joined NBC as the voice of Sunday Night Football. And he lost his Sunday night role to Mike Tirico in 2022. And then NBC gave Michaels a Demetrius title after replacing him, allowing him to contribute to the network's playoff coverage. The title change, it came as a result of his strife with NBC's top executive. And now Michaels and analyst Tony Dungy were on the call for the Jacksonville Jaguars' comeback win over the Los Angeles Chargers last January. Michaels dismissed criticism that he and Dungy were low energy during the game, and people want to complain. Some people say, I'm too high energy. But they were told that they were too low energy, and when the playoffs began January 13, NBC rolled out 2 broadcasting teams for his 4 games. That was Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, and they're going to work those 3 games, and then college football broadcasters. I'm not going to get into all those guys' names because most of them got their jobs, however they got them jobs, nothing wrong with that. But the point is, Michaels took a role with Amazon Prime Video during his shift with NBC last season. He can be heard calling Thursday Night Football for the streaming platform. So his absence from the playoffs will mark the end of a storied run, as no one has called more Super Bowls on television than Al Michaels has. And the late Pat Summerall are tied with 11 assignments to the NFL's biggest games. So I want to give him praise no matter what they do. The man has been behind the microphone for a long time, and he said, do you believe in miracles? A lot of people believe in miracles, but they're saying it's time to go. And that's the cold, tough world of broadcast. A man that's Hall of Fame, even he has to go when the powers that be say it's time to go. But that's just how they do business when it comes to the world of sports. I want to get into Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I have my own thoughts. I'm just going to run on the top 10 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Everybody has their own thoughts about who the best teams are. And I know when you love the game the way I do, the only thing I think the NFL can do to improve what they're doing, I know they're saying end racism on the back of end zones. Oh, there you go again, Curry, with that end racism stuff. Well, I just told you Congress is already considering reparations. But I'm going to tell you what the NFL could do better when it comes to making sure that they show homage and show a lot of love for the people that make up the league. That's Black Americans. I'm not saying this just to be saying it. We all know that the NFL is the hottest ticket in town. It's the hottest ticket in sports in the United States. And what a great sport it is. We know that Black Americans dominate this league. When you have to compete, Black Americans dominate it. That's on the field. If you're part of the Good Boy Network, you're a coach. That's where the white guys dominate. They have the Good Boy Network. But that's going to change. I'm going to go number 10, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 8-5. And the Jaguars were one of the worst in the league at converting third downs in the first month at just 29%, which ranked them 29th. And now they're converting 40%. Isn't that something? That makes them a lot better team. I got to tell you, if they keep converting and getting first downs, you're going to find yourself in the playoffs. That's my story. I'm taking with it. I got number 8 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, and everybody has their own opinion about it. But I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. They're 7-6. Their biggest improvement is their passing offense with C.J. Stroud. And in Week 1 against the Ravens, C.J. Stroud, he threw for only 242 yards, and the team scored only 9 points. But since then, C.J. Stroud has been a big baller. And in Week 14, he was a leader in passing yards, and the Texans are 4th in passing yards per game at 259 yards. I'm telling you, there's so much passion in that team, and I like the way Texans, they play good defense. I got them number 9 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. That's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go with number 8 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Now, people may or may not agree with this, but I'm going to go Cleveland, this is for you. I got the Cleveland Browns. Their passing offense, surprisingly, Cleveland's passing offense is better now than when it was when they started the season. Joe Flacco has a big arm, and he's giving Cleveland an air attack, and his experience helps them understand how to win. Flacco already has more games of at least 250 passing yards, and 2 passing touchdowns than Deshaun Watson, who has 1 since being traded to the Browns. I'm going to tell you, they're playing good football. I put them in number 8. Number 7 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 8-5 on the season, and the biggest improvement is Rashee Rice. A rookie went from a part-timer who was in the lineup for only a third of the snaps in the week 1 in the Chiefs' loss to the Lions, but he's been consistent of late. He has 23 catches, 243 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the past 3 games. The other wide receivers have 16 catches, 150 yards, and 1 touchdown combined in that same span. Now, the Chiefs have gone to Rice in some big situations, including a big third down in the fourth quarter of a Week 12 game against the Raiders while they had a slim lead. He scored on a 39-yard touchdown to break the game open. I like what Kansas City's doing. They just got to stop making mistakes. I have them, in my opinion, number 7 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Now, I'm going to get on a team that slipped a little bit, in my opinion, number 6 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I have the Detroit Lions. Their biggest improvement is red zone efficiency, and the Lions offense can score with the best of the business, ranking them in the top 10 in scoring for the past 2 seasons. But it wasn't the best in trying to convert on red zone to start the season. Through Week 9, Detroit's red zone efficiency is 48%, which is in the bottom tier of the league, tied with the Texans for 24th. I do like the way they play defense. They just got to be more consistent on offense. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Number 5 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Say it ain't so. How do you let a lead get away when you were up 27-14 with about 4 minutes to go? I still have the Miami Dolphins at 9-4. The biggest improvement, defensive efficiency. The Dolphins began the season by surrendering 233 rushing yards to the Chargers, and a performance that did not reflect their offseason focus on the defensive side of the ball. Since Week 8, however, Miami ranks 4th in the NFL in defensive expected points added, 43. Think about this. 43.57, second in rushing yards allowed per game, 74.6, which is first in yards allowed per game. Now, 237 heading into Monday night. How'd they lose that game last night? The return of injured cornerback Jalen Ramsey, as well as the team's overall understanding of Vic Fangio's system, I think they have a defense that's going to start playing better, but I don't know how they lost the game last night. 800 Gabler Curry. That's how they lost the game last night. Okay, that makes sense too. I got number 4 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, I'm an eagle. Eagles fly high because they take themselves lightly. But this Eagles lost 2 straight. Their biggest improvement, third down efficiency. And when they go for 4th and 1, their offensive line gets so low, it's hard to get below them. And they tend to score a lot. But the offense ranks 3rd overall in this category with 47.7% conversion rate. The Philadelphia Eagles got off to a slow start on 3rd down, going 4 of 13 in the opener against the Patriots, but began to shoot up the charts after that. And it helps that 3rd and shorts are almost automatic thanks to their tush push, where they get everybody behind the tush and those pushes of those big offensive linemen. And Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds. They always pick up first downs. So Philadelphia, they convert on more than 90% of those sneak attempts. I don't even call it sneak. They just line up and tell you, we're going to go for it, and they've been successful getting lower than the defensive side of the ball. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Now, what am I saying in them their heels? Everybody has their own thoughts about it. I'm going to say number 3 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. How about those Cowboys? How about those Cowboys? As I hear some of the broadcasters and some of the pundits, they were saying, how about the Cowboys, as they were so happy about the team and the success that they're having, that they just cheer so loud. What they say, what that song called back in the day? Alive and kicking! Alive and kicking when it comes to those Cowboys. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. The Cowboys, my goodness, they always look good, especially at home. The biggest improvement is red zone offense. Think about the entire offense, especially the passing game was touchdown Dak Prescott. Comparing it to where the Cowboys were after the loss to the 49ers, they lost 42-10 in Week 5, but the red zone improvement has been dramatic. In the first 5 games, the Cowboys converted touchdowns on 7 of 19 red zone trips, and since then they've scored touchdowns on 25 of 38 opportunities. Dallas Cowboy quarterback touchdown Dak Prescott, his efficiency has been great under Coach Mike McCarthy's play calling. This is how you lead the NFL in scoring. They're averaging 32.3 points per game. This is the best Cowboys offense since they did. They went to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years back in the day with Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin. This team is legit. If they get home field advantage, Dallas might have I'm not going to speak bad about anything. If they somehow get home field advantage, they might get back to the Super Bowl this year. It's been a long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away. But they don't lose in Dallas. But they're a good team. If they have to go on the road, all bets are off. If Dallas somehow grabs home field advantage in the NFC playoffs, say it ain't so. There's only one team in the universe that can go down there and dance on that star at the 50-yard line. And I'll talk about that team later. But I got Dallas right now, number 3 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You don't have to like it, especially down in Texas. Dallas is a good team. I mean, they, along with San Francisco, they made Philadelphia realize Eagles can fly high, but they better stay off the football field, if that makes sense to you. I got number 2. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, I'm Superman. I got Superman, the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. They're 10-3. The biggest improvement is ball security. In the last 5 games, the Ravens turned the ball over 8 times. 2 interceptions and 6 fumbles lost, which tied for 8th most in turnovers in the league. In the past 8 games, which Baltimore's going 7-1, the Ravens have committed 7 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and 3 fumbles lost, which is tied for the 5th fewest in the league. The Ravens have proved that they have a difficult team to beat when they don't give the ball away. When there's something about Superman Lamar Jackson, when he puts on that cape called a uniform, he becomes very difficult to defend. He can throw the deep ball. He can throw the fade. He can run around the corner. He can scramble and buy time. They're a tough out. But the Baltimore Ravens, they also turn the ball over. If they could cut down on turnovers, they may find themselves playing in Super Bowl 58 down in Las Vegas. But you gotta cut out the turnovers, if that makes sense to you. Okay, Curry, we heard about the turnovers. Who's number 1? Well, I'm going to get to who's number 1. Quit yelling at me. I'm going to get to who's number 1, and that's those boys from Dimdale Hills. How about those Niners? How about those Niners? Give it to me. How about those Niners? That's an erstwhile 49ers said on a talk show. I got the boys from Dimdale Hills, the San Francisco 49ers. They're 10-3. The only 3 losses they had were when Deebo Samuel didn't play. Also, Trent Williams was injured, and Christian McCaffrey was banged up. So their pass rush productivity, that's their biggest improvement. The 49ers, they racked up 5 sacks in Week 1, but had just 18 total sacks through their first 8 games. What's more, they were generating pressure on about 26% of the dropbacks. But since that bye, they've been trading for Chase Young, who came over from Washington, and he's been a great bookend for the 49ers. San Francisco has 22 sacks with 35% pressure rate, which ranks 1st and 7th in the NFL, respectively. Over the past 5 games, the boys from Dimdale Hills, the San Francisco 49ers, they've invested heavily in this front with the idea that it can be the focal point of the defense. Nick Bosa on one side, Chase Young on the other, and then Armstead up the middle, and then Fred Warner at linebacker. They're just a ball-hawking defense. They already got a fistful of gold, and they want another fistful of gold. I think the only team in the NFC that can go into Dimdale Hills, Texas, would be the San Francisco 49ers. This is shaping up to me, is shaping up to be the 49ers and the Cowboys again. What about the Eagles, Curry? Well, the Eagles, they had their chance last year. Teams have figured them out now. And the Eagles are a good team. But you saw what Dallas did to them. Dallas should have won the game in Philadelphia. And McCarthy says he's taking over as signal caller for Dak Prescott. They're different kind of cowboy. They got a real cowboy hat, if that makes sense to you. But the only team that can match the 49ers, how about those Cowboys? How about those Cowboys? The Cowboys and the 49ers look to be on a collision course for Super Bowl 58. If the Super Bowl is going to run through San Francisco, then Dallas, they have a chance to score some points, but I don't think they have a chance to beat the 49ers, not in Dimdale Hills, California. Too much energy in that stadium, Levi Stadium. You might wear Levi Stadium, you might wear Levi pants in Texas in cowboy boots, but the 49ers play in Levi Stadium. Well, that's my story that I'm taking with. The 49ers are Big C's number one ranked team in Big C's NFL power rankings. That's my story that I'm taking with. Now, if they could just champion, reparations now, reparations forever. I would love to see the 49ers in Silicon Valley champion reparations. They know they should. They know they should do it. And that's my story that I'm sticking with it. I love paying homage to my beautiful family. That's where I come from on my mother's side. When it comes to where I come from, I give praise to my beautiful mother's family. My great-grandmother called her Mama, a beautiful, loving, kind woman. My great-granddaddy, Pop, former Negro League baseball player. And the real MacGyver can fix anything, planes, trains, and automobiles. And then my beautiful grandmother, Muddy, a beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. My beautiful grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Give mama some praise. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and then coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship. On my father's side, I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert Curry, my granddaddy, a pastor, had 3 churches. He also owned 2 gas stations, but he also owned 40 acres of land, like the Emancipation Proclamation when Frederick Douglass was working with President Abraham Lincoln to craft the Emancipation Proclamation. Every free black person was supposed to get 40 acres of mule. And we know what happened, the rest of the story. I want to thank my grandmother. I was 8 years old, Alberta Curry, working with my granddaddy with the 3 churches and the 2 gas stations in Oakland. I was 8 years old, walking through the hallway. I was on my way down the hallway about 10 o'clock at night. I felt someone touch me in my head. And she said, "Excuse me, young man, what are you doing? Going to get more cookies?" I said, "Well, what are you doing up at 10 o'clock at night, Grandma? You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." And I said a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. But she said there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And now Big C Sports Podcast is talking about reparations now, reparations forever, all over the universe, and even in Congress it's happening. Really do appreciate my grandmother, my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter Daisy, actually my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. When Todd would speak, a voracious reader, always saying go forward. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always talking sports and politics. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Really do appreciate Daisy. She set up the very first interview for Big C Sports back at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. It had never happened before then. She also helped me set up when college coaches came to the West Coast to do work with Big C Sports. You can be anything you want. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. And then my beautiful handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, a senior, very smart, erudite, a good man. You can be anything you want, Malcolm. Malcolm helped me save trees I used to always get newspapers looking up stats on players and teams for Big C Sports Podcast. And one day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. And that's the reason that I got on Big C Sports Podcast. And then I'm telling you, the way life goes, in life you realize things are just amazing. And you can be anything you want to be, Malcolm. I love you with all my heart, mind, body. And so one day Malcolm said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. And now it's streaming. And shortly after that, it was on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you could prosper. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth and knowledge over the years, I'm a great granddaddy coming out of that barn, always saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe, saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. That's apparent, Curry. I have no reader teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I do my show with my higher self, and I thank God for it. But now, as I always tell you, it's the holidays. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber. You can call Lyft. You can walk it off. You can sleep it off. But don't get behind the wheel of a car after you've been drinking and driving. The life you save may be your own or someone you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And now you know what time it is. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a big rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Every time I listen to Big C Sports, it makes me want to say reparations now, reparations forever. And then I feel like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. You know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911 because things change when the police show up. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And now you stand up for the kickoff. This is when I honor President Abraham Lincoln. For every Big C Sports show, I thank you. I appreciate you. I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Wait a minute, Curry. You didn't honor President Abraham Lincoln. Oh, thank you for the reminder. What did President Abraham Lincoln say to Congress and President Joe Biden? He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Oh, come on, Curry. You got to say it with more energy than that. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell Congress and President Joe Biden and you? He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, Curry, say it like the team just won the game. Okay, what did President Abraham Lincoln tell President Joe Biden and Congress and you? He says, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.